Hello and welcome to Spinster's Library. I'm Claudia and today I want to talk about 10 things I wish I'd known about before starting a booktube channel. Today's going to be a little bit of a complainy session, although not entirely, because I've written down 10 points, 10 side effects, if you like, of running a booktube channel. And I'm going to start off with the very negative ones, but then I'm going to move into the more positive side effects, the kind of nicer things that come with running a booktube channel. So if you think this is going to be a little bit negative, a little bit complainy, then just keep on watching till the end and I will talk about some of the wonderful things that come with running a booktube channel. Let's start with the worst one, and that is of course the hate comments, the troll comments, the creepy comments, and there's different categories of those as well actually, because you get the really obvious kind of just troll hate comments, the ones that tell you what a horrible person you are and you know how you should die and stuff, and those don't really bother me that much because they're so obviously just kind of designed to cause a reaction. Most of the time I leave them on as well. I don't delete comments unless they use really strong unless they use really strong derogatory language, or unless they use racist language, which you'd be surprised for a white lady how many racist comments I get. I can only imagine how bad it is if you are an actual person of colour running a booktube channel. So if the language is really obviously offensive, I will just straight up delete the comment. If there's people calling me a whiny feminist, moaning about men and wanting all men to be oppressed, then I leave that there because that's just hilarious, let's be honest. But the comments that really get to me are the weirdly creepy ones, right? The ones where you can just imagine a person having those thoughts and then thinking that that is an appropriate thing to write under a YouTube video. And when that happens, a lot of the time I will screenshot it and post it on Twitter, because I think that people need to know that there are people who actually think these thoughts. Let me just read you my absolute favourite. This comment really took me on a journey. It started off like a normal booktube comment and then it went weird. The title of one of your videos, Escaping into the Past, is on my computer screen as I type. For me, that sums up Jane Austen. Plot twist. I am more concerned that in your video your lovely hair looks very dry and unmanageable. Please, take more time to look after yourself. I think you should find a partner to care for you. Not me, I am very old. Enjoy your life to the full while you are young. It is far less easy when you are old. The second thing that I wish I'd known before starting a booktube channel, and again we're moving from the very negative to the slightly less negative but still kind of annoying, the scammy emails. Yes, because you know this is a YouTube channel, you can just find my email address on my profile, and obviously it's not my personal email address, it is my booktube email address, but I still get so many scammy emails that say something like, hello friend. A lot of the time they don't even use the name because obviously you can tell that they've sent the same email to a million people. I love your YouTube channel. I would really like you to test out this electric kettle that you have to buy on Amazon and then you'll get a refund, and then please write a 5-star Amazon review because that is totally legit and not a scam. I don't know why people think that YouTubers are people who are going to write scam reviews on Amazon, because I'm not up for that. But unlike with the troll commenters, the easiest way to deal with these emails is to just delete them. The other type of scam email you get a lot is people wanting to represent you, going, I think we could bring your amazing content, and again obviously with no reference to what that content actually is, to a much wider audience if you only sign over your soul and 70% of your ad revenue. No thank you. The next, again this is all about emails and comments, basically the negative sides of running a YouTube channel are basically just people. The next point that I wasn't expecting to that degree when I started a booktube channel is pushy authors asking you to read their books. And I mean, that's fair enough. That's a kind of a normal part of doing the whole booktube thing. You get free review copies and then you write reviews about them. But again, a lot of the time you can tell that the people asking you to read their books have never seen your videos, because I don't know how, for example, you would watch my videos and then assume that I'm interested in reading a sci-fi graphic novel series when I have literally never in my life read a sci-fi graphic novel series. But that's all fine, right? Okay, I get trying to sell your book. I get if you're a self-published author, or if you're an author running with a small publishing company, or even if you're a small publisher, to sending out mass emails to booktubers asking to read their books. But some good form would be, first, use my name. Second, at least show that you've maybe seen one of my videos and not just kind of typed booktube into Google and sent the same email to everyone. And thirdly, and most importantly, when I politely reply back and say that I'm not interested in reading your book, just leave it. Just leave it. Don't then send me another 3 emails saying, I really think you'd enjoy it. Or even, and this is kind of the scummiest of all, I'll give you 10% of my profits from ebook sales if you talk about my book in a video. Not interested. First of all, there's a difference between advertising and reviewing. If you want to send me a free review copy, that's fine. But if I'm actually expected to advertise your book, that's going to cost you a lot more than 10% of your ebook sales. Pushy authors and publishers who don't take no for an answer. But the thing is, I have turned down all but one book that was offered to me because I don't want free books if I wouldn't buy them in a shop anyway. So there's exactly one book that I'm currently reading that is a free review copy. I'm going to mention it now. It's called God's Children by Mabley Roberts. And that book, I got the email, I looked at it, I thought, yeah, that is something I would genuinely buy in a shop. And then I accepted it and they sent me the book and now I'm reading it. I wish that authors and publishers had a bit more nuance in their, asking for review copies. But more than anything, I wish that they would stop badgering me once I've already said no to their offer. That really needed to get off my chest, didn't it? Let's move on to point number 4, that I didn't quite realise how bad it would be before I started this booktube channel, and that is the FOMO. Oh my god, everyone's reading the Testaments at the moment, and I'm just there going, why am I not reading this? I want to read it. I want to be in the conversation. I want to talk to people about the books that they're currently reading. But more often than not, as you know, I get my books in charity shops 3 years after release when everyone's already moved on to the next best thing. So that's just something I have to deal with. If you're thinking of starting a booktube channel, then think really hard about whether you're going to be the sort of person talking about new releases. Think really hard about the effect that's going to have on your finances as well, because we all know new releases are not cheap. And think really hard about whether you would be buying these books anyway. I expect I will read the Testaments sooner rather than later because I want to be in on the loop. I want to be in the know. I want to be able to talk about this book like everyone else is. But it's definitely something that I personally struggle with more than I'd like to admit, although I guess I am admitting it right now. Let's move on to the 5th point, and this is kind of where we're switching from like the purely negative to the kind of interesting, I guess, not very negative, not very positive, and that is how hard and weird it is to explain booktube to someone on the outside, someone who's never seen a booktube video. So the conversation usually goes like this. Oh yeah, I run a YouTube channel. Oh, what is it about? It's about books. What, so what do you talk about? Oh, I just talk about books, like books I've read, books I'm reading, books I want to read. Why, so you just talk about books? Yeah. What, like book reviews. Like, yeah, sometimes, but I don't really do reviews that often, so what do you talk about? Or like, for example, I'll hold up a pile of books that I want to read this month, but I know realistically I'm not going to read this month, and then I talk about how I want to read this month. Okay, number 6. The way that you categorize your reading. Before I did Spinster's library, I didn't think just randomly, you know what? I'm only going to read Victorian literature in October. Or, you know what? How about I only read Jane Austen in July? That's a thing that makes sense. That's a normal way to pick your reading. Obviously, I'm talking about readathons, read-alongs, reading events, you know, these kind of community things that Booktube just kind of brings about as a side effect. Like, let's be honest, that's not a normal way to categorize your reading, but it just happens when you do Booktube because you want to be part of this thing. You want to be part of everyone else reading Victorian literature in October, like that's a normal thing to do. The next point, number 7, is, I don't know, I'm unsure whether that counts as a positive or a kind of ambiguous point. And that's the change in reading experience. Before I did Booktube, I would just read a book and finish it, and I'd probably have some feelings about it, but I wouldn't express them in any way. I wouldn't talk to anyone about the book because likely I wouldn't know anyone who'd read the same book. I wouldn't write them down, certainly. And during the reading of the book, I wouldn't think about my feelings about the book particularly. But now that I kind of am expected and have these expectations of myself of having to talk about a book after I finish it, my reading has become a lot more conscious, a lot more active in a way, because I have to, while I'm reading a book, if I don't like a book, I'm immediately thinking, what don't I like about it? Why don't I like this book? How do I put my feelings into words for the video in which I talk about this book? And in a way that's made my reading more analytical, it's made my reading more active, it's made it more conscious. I mean, there are books that I read in the past that I know I've read and I have no recollection of them. I don't remember either the plot, I don't even remember how I feel about them. For example, do you remember the book by Mitch Albom, which is called The 5 People We Meet in Heaven? I've definitely read it, can't remember anything about it. Can't remember whether I liked it or didn't like it. Can't remember any strong feelings either way. That just wouldn't happen now because I'm much more conscious of my own reaction to the reading that I'm doing. My point number 8, and now we are firmly in the positives. Point number 8 is the new skills that I've learned. And the most obvious one of those is public speaking, because I spend quite a large proportion of my week now talking to a camera, and it's definitely helped not just my confidence, but also simply my public speaking skills. I've learned how to put ideas into words better. I've learned how to talk in full sentences, which is not something we normally do as people. And it's definitely given me public speaking and presentation skills that I didn't have before. And this is a really important part of doing what I do as a PhD student. So I'm really, really grateful that I developed these skills, and I can highly recommend starting a Booktube channel if you are someone who struggles with public speaking, whether that's the actual technicalities of public speaking or whether that's the confidence side of things. I also learned video editing. I didn't know how to edit a video before. I'd never done that ever in my life, and now I'm, you know, okay at it. Obviously, Booktube doesn't require highly technical skills, but it's something that, you know, you wouldn't normally learn otherwise. And similarly, I have learned so many things about, I don't know, social media and connecting to people. And I mean, one thing I clearly haven't learned is framing it, because this is a wonky ass picture, but you know, eventually I'll get there. So I can highly recommend starting a YouTube channel, and specifically a Booktube channel, if you want to learn some new skills, because you really do. My ninth point, and again we're firmly in the positives now, is the new books that I discovered through Booktube. And that one's pretty obvious, right? You expose yourself to more literature by watching other booktubers. You expose yourself to new literature by reading the comments that people post under your videos saying, oh, you like this book, you might also enjoy that, or people telling you about what they've been reading. I find that so interesting, and it certainly helped me pick up books that I never would have picked up. One example I've got right here, I picked this book up in a charity shop yesterday for £1, and this is Ruth Pardell, I don't know how you say that, 52 Ways of Looking at a Poem. And the only reason that I picked this book up in the charity shop yesterday was because someone posted this in a comment to my video like last year, ages ago. And I saw this on the shelf in the charity shop and thought, that rings a bell. Then I remembered that comment. I remember that someone, and I'm really sorry I don't remember who it was. I can't remember the actual username of the person who suggested this to me, who recommended this to me, but thank you so much, because I never would have picked this up if it hadn't been a personal recommendation from someone watching my videos. Booktube naturally exposes you to more literature that you wouldn't otherwise read, and that's one of my absolute favourite things about Booktube. The last point, and really my absolute favourite thing about Booktube, and something I didn't expect to that extent, and I'm gonna sound like such a cliche saying it, but it is the community. It is the people that I met, and by met I mean entirely online. I've not actually met another booktuber in person. I'm really hoping that one day that'll be the case. I'm really hoping that one day I'll be able to go to one of these booktuber meetups in London maybe, or maybe connect with some localish booktubers, people who, you know, aren't that far away from me, or maybe even with one of my friends from across the world. But the aspect of community, the friends you make, the connections you build with people, 100% made Booktube worth it, because book people are just the best, and I love connecting to people initially about books, and then you talk about something else and you build up friendships that way, and that is just wonderful. So, I told you I was going to end on a positive. You didn't expect this when you heard me complaining 20 minutes ago, however long this video is going to end up being. But I hope that this list maybe gave you a bit of an insight into the kind of little side effects, the things that happen alongside creating Booktube videos. And I really hope that the negatives haven't discouraged anyone, because in the end it is worth it, or I wouldn't be doing this, you know. Never mind the trolls and the misogynists and the scammy people sending you emails. In the end, it is 100% worth it, and I would highly recommend starting a Booktube channel if you're thinking about it. If you have recently started a Booktube channel, feel free to comment down below. Please don't put any links in your comments, because YouTube will flag that as spam. But if you just want to tell me about your new Booktube channel, then comment down below and I'll check it out. And also tell me, if you're a booktuber, what things you would add to the list, what things you didn't know about before you started your Booktube channel. Thank you very much for watching. Bye.